Live from the mist-enshrouded mountaintop fortress that is X and Y Communications headquarters, you're listening to the world-famous Mountaintop Podcast. And now, here's your host, Scot McKay.
How's it going, gentlemen? Welcome to yet another episode of the world-famous Mountaintop Podcast. I am your host. My name is Scot McKay, at Scot McKay on Twitter and on Truth Social and on TikTok. You can find me on Instagram at Real Scot McKay. All the YouTube videos, including video representations of this very show, can be found by searching my name, S-C-O-T, one T only, M-C-K-A-Y on YouTube. The website is mountaintoppodcast.com, as always, and the thriving Facebook group, also, as always, is the Mountaintop Summit. Search it out and join it, gentlemen. You're missing out until you do. With me today is a returning guest, one of your favorite guests. She hails from New York City. She is the queen of Tantric Activation and a few other side hustles she's got going on, which we're going to probably talk about as well. Her name is Sarrah Rose, and the topic today is sex women stick around for. Sarrah, welcome back.
Hey, Scott. I'm so happy to be back. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you sound happy. How's life over in New York?
Oh, it's great. I had a couple of amazing orgasms this morning, and what's not to enjoy?
Were they self-inflicted or otherwise?
These ones were self-inflicted, yes.
Those can be the best, and that's because we know how to pleasure ourselves as human beings, whether we admit it or not. Or we shouldn't we?
Yeah. I got to be at least FaceTiming, so it was yes, self-inflicted, but also engaged.
Well, those can probably even one up the mere self-inflicted variety by adding a little more complexity to it, and interest, and intrigue.
Yeah, for sure. Lots of fun.
I remember those days. Those were good days. All right, so today we're going to talk about several things, and I'm going to tee up some softball questions for you. Now, how's that for a Yogi Berra-ism? Teeing up some softballs. We're going to hit that out of the park and down the fairway at the same time. I guess that's a Yogi Berra-ism, though, because if you're a kindergarten, they really do tee up softballs and let you hit them. So that would be an extra soft softball if it was designed for a kindergartner. So easy a first grader can understand it.
And totally over my head.
Well, I think everything we're about to talk about has already been banned in the state of Florida by Ron DeSantis. You can't talk about any of this with first graders, so probably a bad analogy. So we'll move on right to it. It's good to have you back. You are very easy to talk to about all of this stuff, as these guys have probably already figured out from the first 3 or 4 minutes of this show. And so when we're talking about sex women stick around for, man, there are so many areas that we can trespass into relative to this particular topic. And I think the best way to start this off would be to help these guys understand just how much street cred you bring to the table, Sarrah Rose. Let's talk first about the kind of sex that keeps men around, because you are the mistress of all things regarding sexual prowess and sexual skill. So talk to me a little bit about what you know about the kind of sex that makes men go, oh my goodness, I'm not leaving this woman.
Blowjobs rule. What can I say?
You say that with such a sense of humor.
Oh my God. I mean, guys just love it. And if you're a woman that loves to give head, you really are in the league of your own, because so many women just tolerate it, and it's not enjoyable for either person. My best friend, and I talk about this a lot, he's a straight guy, and he's like, Sarrah, I don't even like to get blowjobs because most women just suck at it. And so he's like, whenever I get a good one, I know I'm going to stick around. I want to have sex with this woman again.
The first time I ever got a blowjob was when I was in high school. And she had braces.
No.
That was dangerous. That was potentially deadly. Those things are pointy. I mean, this was pre-Invisalign era, okay? It was actually very admirable that she did as good a job as she did, but she was also very cute, which helped.
Well, I mean, especially in high school for her to have skills.
Yeah, right. I hope I'm not doxing anybody here. You know, everybody who follows me on Facebook from high school and listens to this show is going, I knew it. I knew you two were up to something. Yeah, maybe I'm not talking about who you think I'm talking about, Bubba. I was one of those guys in high school who was very good at keeping my mouth shut.
Good
those
for
guys
you.
get more women naked. They get more girls naked in high school
100%.
and in college and probably in life in general. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about this for a second because it is a great topic and one that, like all men, I find to be very interesting and intriguing, of course. And first of all, before we elaborate upon blowjobs, hand jobs are underrated. A woman who knows how to use her hands or even her feet is also very surprising and very amazing to men.
Did we talk about the foot jobs last time?
I doubt it. I would have remembered that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I wonder what percentage of men have actually received a foot job. I think it's pretty rare.
Let alone a good one.
So how would you describe a good one?
All right. Well, first and foremost, we've talked about this recently on this show because we had a lady come on and talk about fetishes. Okay. So many men, I would say a majority of men, think women's feet are sexy, and it's important to them that women have cute, beautiful, clean, well pedicured feet. And most men, meanwhile, think they're really weird for thinking that. So I would imagine the first obstacle to a guy getting a foot job is having the balls to ask for one. You know, because let's face it, you know this as well as I do. When men direct the sexual experience in the bedroom, if the woman feels safe and the woman feels horny, she's usually pretty willing unless it's something pretty crazy. And I also would guess, okay, this is an educated guess, an edumacated guess, if you will, to coin a term. I believe most women understand their feet to be sexy when they have sexy feet and are more comfortable with it than most men understand it to be okay that they find their women's feet sexy. I know that's a mouthful, but I think I pretty much spelled it out. And so if a woman has sexy feet, watching her sexy feet give you a foot job is pretty nice foreplay. And I think a lot of guys are missing out if they don't partake in that. And women too. A lot of women, of course, a lot of people in general are very nervous and perhaps a little self-conscious. So I think it's very much the man's job to help a woman feel sexy and comfortable and appreciated when she does that, when she gives you a good hand job, and certainly when she does a good blow job. I mean, if the guy is just standing there going, well, this kind of sucks. Can we do something else now? Don't ever plan on that sex act, whatever it is, being performed on you ever again. Correct?
Yeah, definitely be enthusiastic. That's very helpful.
Yeah. So the secret to a great blowjob. I don't know if you should go first or I should go first, but we as men know when we've been given a great blowjob until we get the most spectacular, unexpected blowjob that we never saw coming. Then our entire state of mind is, well, up-leveled. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to let you riff on it first, then I'm going to add what I'm going to add to it if I need to, but I'm going to let you take off. Okay. Because I think I'm stealing your thunder a little bit because you're giving me like one sentence answers. So go for it.
Oh no. So I'm very just interested in hearing what you have to say as well. I'm loving it. It's all good. So as far as a good blowjob, it has to be super wet. That's the most important thing. Lots and lots of saliva, like just dripping all over the place. And for me, and for most women, the mouth will produce more saliva if the penis goes back in the throat more. And so even getting it back in there, and then that's going to produce more saliva, then it's going to be more wet. That's really good. Using a combination of both hands and mouth together. And the techniques need to change up. You don't want to just be doing the same thing over and over and over. And when I'm also incorporating the testicles as well. I mean, some guys are a little bit iffy about their testicles, but I find that at least 90% are yes, that's good. And then also some anal touching as well. So it's a combination of the anus, the testicles, the shaft of the penis, the head of the penis, my hand, mouth, all of this together and super, super wet. And sometimes, I focus a lot on the frenulum, because that's very sensitive. And then also, of course, the head of the penis, all around the head of the penis, but, making sure the entire shaft gets included as well.
Well, as far as testicles go, they're fragile. I mean, it's scary to have people mess with your testicles, even your doctor, because you're like, hey, easy down there. You know, it's like God's dirty little trick that testicles are on the outside of the body and so fragile. It's like God up there going, okay, whoa there, cowboy. You're not as tough as you think you are. I gave you this, you know, Achilles heel up there in your crotch, which, you know, sounds like an ugly metaphor. Not exactly what I intended. But at the same time, I think that's probably why so many men are a little iffy about having their testicles massaged and licked and stuff. But at the same time, it really does feel wonderful if a guy's willing to relax and let it happen. While you were talking, something occurred to me.
Mm-hmm.
These days especially, I mean, us poor bastards back in high school, I mean, we had nothing really to go on as far as what good sex looked like. Nowadays, there's HD porn for free, gobs of it that you can learn and at least observe and allegedly learn from. And as you were talking, like I said, it occurred to me that, or let's just put it this way, I'd be willing to bet, I'm not going to treat it as a foregone conclusion, I'd love to have your opinion on this, that the impression especially that men get of what good sex is like comes from the visual and oral representation of pornography. Okay. Now, anything pornographic is vicarious. We're not actually there feeling it, obviously. We're seeing it and we're hearing it, but we're not tasting it, we're not smelling it, we're not touching it ourselves. So there are all of these aspects of sex that can't be observed or heard that a lot of guys, and I'm going to include women here too, are completely oblivious to. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. It's so important to really be fully in your senses when having sex. And of course, all of that can't come across in video.
Right. So a lot of guys are like, okay, deep throating is awesome. Eye contact is amazing. Dirty talk, her kind of doing that little soft twist with her hands around your shaft while she's blowing you. All of that, I think, comes across as obvious to us as men. Okay, that's what a good blowjob looks like. That's what a good blowjob sounds like. The problem is, unless guys have at least some sexual experience, Sarah, they don't know what a good blowjob feels like.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And so more men watch porn than women, obviously, even though women do watch it as well. But so I think women have even less of an idea of even how to do this or what it would look like or feel like. And, you know, similar to a guy going down on a woman, like if you're not experienced in it, if you haven't done it a few times or more than a few times, you don't really know. They don't know the intricacies of the other person's body, of the other gender's body. And it takes time. It takes becoming familiar with it and really studying it, hands-on, getting in there. Of course, you want to have listen to people talk about this or watch some videos or, you know, have some idea of how to do this in a really good way before you dive in. But then the hands-on experience is important as well.
Right on. So now we're starting to get into the kind of sex that keeps women around. I don't know. Maybe this feeling would be mutual. When a woman knows her way around a man's body, it's pretty impressive to the guy. I mean, if he's a slut shamer, he's going to say, wait a minute, how much experience do you have with this, honey? And then things get ugly. And by the way, that's not the kind of sex women stick around for, is the slut shaming variety. I think we can just throw that one on the table right now. However, when a man knows his way around a woman's body, that takes a woman by surprise because I think so many men are just bulls in the china shop about it. But before we get onto that, I want to backtrack a little bit because I have yet to tell you what I think makes a blowjob amazing. Okay.
Go for it. I want to hear.
This is the single biggest life changer I've ever experienced in terms of differentiating a pretty good blowjob from one that really just, well, blew me away. All right. And again, this is something you'll never see or hear in porn. First of all, most women don't like the taste of cum and they don't like it on their face. So this whole idea, first of all, of blowing a load in a woman's face, most of you guys forget about it. Most women don't really like that. Some do, and that's great if you find one like that. She's really kinky and horny and probably watches a lot of porn herself. But what I'm getting at is, first of all, the woman has to like the taste of cum, first of all, such that she swallows it for you. And so far, you guys are probably tracking with me on that, saying, yeah, well, we've seen that and heard that in porn also. But wait a minute. There's a next level version of that. What's truly amazing is when a woman understands the nature of the male orgasm so much that as you're ejaculating, she turbo boosts each pulse of ejaculation out of your penis for you. That's like the difference between a naturally aspirated orgasm, if you don't mind the automotive reference. I'm such a guy, right? And a turbo boosted one. Like literally, as you ejaculate, obviously there's a pulsating motion. With every pulse, the woman sucks extra hard, sucks extra vehemently out of you to get more out of you. That is the most amazing feeling I've ever encountered in my entire life relative to a blowjob. And I gave her a nice warm hug afterwards and offered to make her dinner. It was so nice, actually.
A hug and dinner. How sweet. Love it. No, you're right, though.
Among other things.
You're absolutely right about that.
Okay, so you're familiar with the phenomenon I'm talking about.
That's an important part of it. And I did forget to mention the swallowing as well.
God bless you, Sarrah Rose. If you understand the turbo boost orgasmic blowjob, you are a princess for sure.
Well, I just do my best.
Well, among other things, I've noticed that when you give a woman incredible orgasms and really give it to her good and hard and the way she wanted it, one of the first things out of her mouth afterwards is, oh my goodness, that was great. Can we do that again? Without understanding that men have to recover a little bit before they blow another load. After that blowjob, I was the one asking her, can we do that again? I think I've already recovered. I'm ready. Let's do this.
Let's do this.
Let's do this.
The refractory period is like suddenly gone.
Exactly. The mythical refractory period has taken wings and flown away from me. So that's my 2 cents about what makes a blowjob otherworldly. And again, when's the last time you ever saw that in porn? Here's another thing that guys don't ever absorb into their knowledge of good sex by watching porn. I don't know what the problem is because I personally think it would be very hot. I've never encountered any porn ever where the woman is adequately describing what the sex feels like. In other words, I've heard women say, oh, right there. Oh, don't stop. Or, oh, you're filling me up. That's all kind of sort of arbitrary, isn't it? Most guys don't understand the deep spot. They don't understand the G spot. They don't understand hitting their cervix in a certain way that's pleasurable instead of painful. And you're never going to gain that knowledge from watching it on video, especially that kind of video. I mean, obviously there are instructional videos out there, but wouldn't you agree with me that guys kind of miss out on, I know this is going to sound really white bread and vanilla, but the mechanics of sex that can be translated into something really good, pleasurable, and passionate in the moment. We miss out on it.
Oh, yeah. I think the porn is the worst place to go for good sex education. It's definitely there for entertainment. It's very performance-based. It's very much just, it's created to get men off quickly and have them coming back for more. So it has a very specific agenda in mind, and that agenda is not female pleasure.
Yeah, for sure. The one thing that I think porn does very well is give guys without a lot of experience an idea of what women look like naked versus when they have clothes on. You can have a much better gauge of what a woman's going to look like naked from having watched porn. But of course, the negatives for guys with not a whole lot of experience relative to porn, in other words, the jealousy, the bitterness, because some other idiot guy is getting some on camera and I'm not getting any, this literally fantastic idea of what good sex looks like. Obviously, the penis size shaming that comes from watching a lot of porn. A lot of that, of course, is very detrimental. And of course, we're not even going to talk about who gets trafficked and who doesn't. That's another show we had, about 10, 12 episodes ago, but a very significant problem.
Well, and also how many women actually look like the women in porn.
Well, you know what? You say that, but I've never really considered that. Maybe I just was really good at attracting women who look great naked, but I find that sometimes women in porn aren't all that attractive to me. And the women I've seen without clothes on, performing really nice things in the bedroom with me, are often a lot sexier and more attractive in real life than the porn actresses are. Okay. I sucked the air out of the room with that one. Sorry, guys.
Then you're doing well.
Okay.
You're like, I only fuck women hotter than porn stars.
But the bar isn't set all that high if you really think about it. I mean, some porn women are really fantastic. Other ones are really, I don't know, I call them niche women. You know, you either like them or you don't. But listen, guys, look, I'm a normal guy. I'm not trying to beat my chest here. I'm just simply riffing off what you said. I don't know if I buy that porn women are all airbrushed and look like supermodels compared to women in real life. I think there are plenty of women in real life who are just absolutely gorgeous and precious naked. That's where I was going with that. But lest I have everybody completely throw rotten tomatoes at their computer screens and get rid of me on the spot, I'm going to change the subject. Let's do something that actually helps, guys. By the way, I had a Norwegian television studio who produces a show about a guy who can't get laid come to me and say they wanted to take clips out of my podcast episodes and insert them into their TV show and have their sexually frustrated lead character be a fan of my show. And the reason why they picked my show to do that is because I talk so glibly about being good with women and being good at sex and treat these guys as if they're not basket cases and not beginners, but already have something figured out. So the way the storyline was allegedly going to go, they canceled the show during COVID. It was such a shame. I mean, I was all in for this. I was so excited. I was like, yes, whatever you need. I'll even help you find the clips. But it never happened. But what they were going to portray is him having a really rough time where a woman puts him in the just be friend zone, or he talks himself out of the bedroom or does something stupid. Next thing you know, he's on the train with his headphones on and I'm saying, yeah, you know, women are really easy to get naked. You should be able to do this if I can do that, you know, and have him just go grrr, you know, and the ironic comedy was going to be that, why is he listening to me? All I'm doing is making him more frustrated. But heck yeah, I was all in. So I'm not sure whether that's a feature or a bug relative to how this show tends to go down. But no, my audience, the guys who listen to this show really aren't beginners. They're not basket cases, but we all get tripped up by something. So anyway, onward. A couple ideas I want to float that I think will really help grease the skids for this conversation. That's a really, really ugly mental picture in the bedroom, isn't it?
Yes, it really is.
Man, I'm on a roll today. Somewhere Craig Ferguson's already jealous.
Dried up.
Like I said,
you did the very rare thing of drying me up.
Like I said, somewhere Craig Ferguson is jealous. All right, I suspect the opposite, but maybe I can move on from this. All right, men think women don't like sex. You've probably heard that before. Usually, they're the guys who are not quite realizing that it isn't that women don't like sex. It's just that women don't like sex with them. Okay. Flogged horse on this show. Another rough bedroom analogy, right? But then, because of the pickup artist movement or whatever, men also believe women will leave them because of bad sex. So one side of the coin, women don't like sex at all. Any sex that women perform, any sex act is begrudging, and it's simply because some guy pressured them or to keep them in the relationship or something. But they're also told that women will leave them if the sex is bad, and they're mortally afraid of bad sex because they think the woman will up and leave them. So that's really a strange dichotomy in the sexual political world between men and women. Second of all, and this goes right along with it, most men think they're good at sex, don't they, Sarah? But most men aren't. How about that?
My saying is that if I had $1 for every guy that told me he's good in bed and every woman that said he's not, I'd be a billionaire already.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of fucking money.
That's $1 for every 7 people on the earth.
It's pretty bad out there.
But really, how did we get 7 billion people on earth if all the sex is so terrible? You got a bunch of Woody Allens out there. No sex is bad sex, but Woody Allen is a criminal, as we know, and lies a lot. All right, so talk to me about that. what do men think they're doing right that they're actually doing wrong? And I'm also going to ask a question in tandem with that. How do women act? What emotions, traits do they exhibit? What words do they utter? What sounds do they make when legitimately they're not faking it and they really are very pleased with what has gone on?
I think any guy that has experienced a woman actually orgasming will know without a shadow of a doubt that she has orgasmed. I'm bisexual, so I've had sex with, plenty of women as well. And it's not rocket science to know, like, if she's come or not. And I mean, I've been with other women that are bisexual as well, and I noticed that they will try and fake it. and I've called them out on it. There was this one chick that I just hooked up with her, and it was like a threesome situation, and the guy, it was more kind of performative for the guy, and I was going down on her, and she was like, "Oh, I came," and I pushed her back down. I said, "No, you didn't." Like,
don't forget who you're talking to, sweetie, right?
Exactly. I was like, "You did not." So I mean, it's just the rush that comes over them, their breath, the sounds they make. It's just so natural. It's not forced in any way. 70% of women report faking it, or, they're just like, "Oh, yes, yes, yes." But like when you're with a woman and she's actually coming, it's the most beautiful sight ever. Like I love, love, love watching women have orgasms. Just the peace that comes over their face, just like this like wash of serenity. And they're just it's the most beautiful sight ever. And that's definitely not something you see in porn.
I've kind of fantasized about buying my wife a Sybian, just so I can crack a beer and watch her have orgasms even when I'm either spent or not in the mood, because it's still kind of nice to watch.
Yes, it's beautiful. So beautiful.
I haven't
There's
really
a couple
done that yet.
a couple that I used to have threesomes with, and they are still in love, and they're just like the most beautiful couple. And it was such a privilege to be like part of having sex with them. And he was so skilled at bringing her to orgasm, and like just watching her be in her pleasure from him. It was like one of my favorite things, just to watch that.
See, all these guys are out there going, where do I find a woman like this Sarrah Rose chick? Why can't more women be like that?
Women are, but there's so much social pressure still. Like you mentioned, the slut shaming, right? Of like, "Oh, well, you're really good at that. Where'd you learn that?" kind of thing. And then also most women haven't had a lot of experience with really good sex, and they don't even know what that feels like or how to have it. Women need to also train their bodies and how to experience a lot of pleasure. So it does go both ways, but having a skilled lover is one of the greatest treasures you could possibly ever have.
Okay, so let's talk about that skill. Like I alluded to before, most men think they're good at sex, but really they've just watched a lot of porn. So I believe, based on personal experience and anecdotal experience from others, that if we focus on the woman's pleasure and we focus on her and appreciating her and helping her feel comfortable, not shamed in the bedroom, and we also, this is important, don't rush things. We're not in a hurry to undress her. We're not in a hurry to hit it. We're not in a hurry to have an orgasm. Obviously, most guys shame themselves when they come too quickly or they can't get it up. A lot of guys worry too much about their performance. But when a guy is more focused on the woman, that seems to be the best start, not only to giving her better sex, but having better sex for ourselves also. The performance anxiety, all those fear-based issues subside more when you stop being so self-centered and start caring about her more. Anything fast in the bedroom, anything that involves speed in the bedroom is not going to make your sex better, for sure. But I think also kind of the flip side of this is a lot of guys are so afraid or I should say hamstrung by this idea that women don't really like sex, that they don't understand that sometimes women really are very horny and just need to get their brain screwed out. So anytime a sex act of any kind is imminent, they have to kind of slide under the door the idea that this is soft, gentle lovemaking. Meanwhile, the woman is like, really, you need to just bend me over and pound me after we get started and after I'm all warmed up. I also think that most men don't understand that women, you can't just throw them down, spread them apart, and have them be all lubricated and ready to go at it real hard. So I guess there's a lot of complexity here, isn't there? Most guys really don't understand the flow or the dance to all this sexual activity.
Yeah, and the best sex is going to last a couple of hours. It's not something that's fast and you're just in and out. Of course, you can have good sex that is that as well from time to time. It's fun to have a quickie every now and then, but it's really important that part, especially, when you're in a relationship with a woman and you're having sex with her regularly, that there's time built in to really explore each other and have just, long sessions of incredible sex and slow down, spend time making out first, touch her entire body with her clothes on. Don't go straight to, getting her naked. Like even just pull her panties aside and go down with her with the rest of her clothes still on. Give her a couple of orgasms that way, clitoral orgasms. And then, after she's had a couple of clitoral orgasms, put a finger inside and stimulate her G-spot. Give her a couple of orgasms that way. Then she's going to be really wet and open and wanting to be fucked. But that takes time for her body to warm up and to really want to have that kind of sex. And then, but once she's there, after she's had a few orgasms, she's probably going to want you just to fuck the shit out of her. And I love it when a guy gets super primal and raw and he's just an animal, either in my pussy or in my ass. But if he just went in like that at the beginning, it'd be like, get the fuck out and don't ever come see me again. But if it's builds up to that, it's amazing.
It's not unlike when you first meet her. You can't walk up to her and go, hey, let's go screw, because she'll slap you. But if you walk up to her and you're charming and you're friendly and you give her space and make her feel comfortable, then before you know it, you can get to, I really like you, let's go screw. It's kind of a metaphor for what goes on actually in the bedroom. It's no different.
Yeah. Sex is a conversation between your bodies. Think of it that way. You don't just come in and start yelling at each other, going back and forth. It's a slow
That'd be really kinky, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but slow down, enjoy. And, it's really not that difficult, but slowing down is going to be the most important thing, because then you can start to read her body and you're going to know. And unfortunately, a lot of guys get really carried away by the desires in their penis and it overtakes them and they don't have a lot of control over those urges. And then, they're like, oh, I got to be inside her. And they just do that. And then they come and then it's done. And then she's unsatisfied. So then she's pissed off because she didn't get an orgasm.
Yet another difference between younger men and older men that makes younger women crave older men.
Not always, though, because often
is there an absolute for anything having to do with humans and human nature? Never.
No, but a lot of guys, what happens because the PC muscle weakens over time, then the PC muscle is what's necessary to control ejaculation. So if a man isn't actively strengthening that muscle, then he can actually start to have premature ejaculation at a later age, even if he didn't have it before. So it can go both ways.
I suppose that's true. I can see that. But I do think that for the most part, men who are a little bit older understand the psychosocial aspects of what we're talking about more than young, dumb, full of cum guys. I mean, there's the exceptional guy who's 20 years old and really knows how to give a woman a really romantic, powerful experience in the bedroom. But I think there are more guys who are 35 who know how to do that than guys who are 19. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, most likely.
All right. Well, fair enough. All right. So practically speaking, I want to add a little to this conversation of what women are like when you've given them a powerful sexual experience. First of all, this is all about safety and security. And I'm sure you'll agree with me that women often feel like they have to put up a front sexually. They have to put up kind of a hedge of protection in front of them whenever they encounter a guy who they know is sexually interested in them. She may not yet, or not at all, not ever, be sexually interested in him in return. She may not know exactly what to expect from a sexual experience with him. She may not trust him. She may even be a little fearful of him physically up front. Even socially, from the slut-shaming perspective, a lot of women are reticent just to be very out there with their sexual desires. When a man is able to make a woman feel safe and comfortable, protected in the bedroom, she becomes very happy. She becomes very joyful. That feminine energy comes out, which is already going to polarize with the masculinity to make sex better. I'm harking back to a time where a woman was arguing with me about masculinity and femininity being social constructs. And I said, yeah, well, how's your sex life? And she's like, that's okay. It's fine. I'm like, of course, that's your answer. That sexual polarity really supercharges sex. And a big part of masculinity is providing safety for women. So a man can see all sorts of amazing things happen once she feels safe and comfortable. First of all, she's not fearing shame, so she relaxes more sexually. Then, if you're a guy who knows what he's doing physically, you start bestowing the orgasms and all the different kinds of pleasure that you so eloquently talked about before, Sarah, onto her. And a lot of these pretenses that guys assume are givens, that they're permanent, and that all women are going to exhibit them and there's no way around them, all of them just start lifting like a veil. I've had women say, well, I'm a good girl. Don't ever expect to even kiss me till I have a ring on my finger. And then I seduce her the proper way where she feels just really welcomed and she gets really horny and she's like, oh my God, take me now. And I'm like, well, what happened? She goes, just shut up. A girl's got to do what she's got to do. Let's do this thing. So there's that. The pretense kind of lifts, where you see the horny side come out, that primal female energy sexually just blossom like a flower. And of course, if you shame it, she'll slam the door on you and it's over. You blew it. But, like it's been said, more guys talk themselves out of the bedroom, than into the bedroom in those situations. We are our own worst enemy often. But other things can also happen. There's a self-protective one where they kind of are a little reserved, a little prudish, but once you make them feel comfortable and you start giving them pleasure, the gloves are off and they're like, oh my gosh. And they're just screaming and having a good old time and squirting. If you make a woman squirt and she never has before, she'll probably stick around for more, by the way. And obviously you can tell when she's orgasmed when that happens. But the other two things I want to mention, and I want to let you add to this as well, is there's this strange thing that happens to a woman's countenance. It's a lot like they say how pregnant women glow. Women who are enjoying sex glow like that. And there's almost like this doe-eyed submissive addiction to whatever you're doing to her. It's fascinating to watch. Like if she's really enjoying giving you a blowjob, a lot of times you can see this happen when she feels like she's enjoying it and you're enjoying it. There's this glow about her, this amazing presence. And then there's also this other thing that, again, I think a lot of guys who don't perhaps have a lot of experience at this, they may not really believe what I'm about to say is true. But a lot of women understand how sexy they are. They understand the prize their naked body is. They know they look good and they know that men want them. So they're very good at leveraging their physical sexiness socially and sexually, almost like currency. And I know that sounds really rough, but a lot of women, either by force or by choice, are kind of led down that path. It's amazing to watch this phenomenon whereby you give a woman such good sex that she forgets how sexy her body is and really just wants you to take it and have it in every position, in every way possible. And she just doesn't care anymore that, well, I got naked for this guy. Does he deserve it or not? It's more like, I want you. Take me. How fast can I take my clothes off? let's get these clothes off of me. And a lot of guys, again, I don't think they understand that there's kind of a tipping point where all of those pretenses drop. And it's right when you've made a woman feel comfortable and start pleasuring her. And then it can escalate from there until you see just almost preternatural joy, playfulness, fun, and orgasmic pleasure on the part of your woman. And I can't imagine any woman not sticking around for that. As a matter of fact, kind of like a coda to this entire point, women will stick around when they're being abused, not treated right, if they're getting that kind of sex, which is a bad thing. So, I mean, it can almost be that the sex life is too good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, people that are abusers are often have some sort of mental illness going on as well. And what's the saying? Sex with crazy people is always amazing.
So that's where I'm going to disagree with you. I had a sexless marriage for 2 years with a crazy person specifically because she was crazy. So I guess there are limits to how alluring that crazy part of their being can be, aren't there?
Yeah, no, I'm totally kidding. Totally kidding.
Yeah. Well, anything to add to this before we close? Anything guys can really focus on to make sure they're giving women the kind of sex that women stay for? I mean, you've already covered a lot, but go ahead and give us a couple more.
Yeah, no, you were talking about this, and what came to mind was the flow state, right? It's just like this flow state that happens when sex is really good. And you can tell when a woman is in that state. And another thing that I encourage men to do is to don't stop. Like, even when you think she had an orgasm, go 100 times longer. Don't stop. That's the one thing that happens way too often is guys stop too soon. They think, oh, she must have come, and so they stop. Or she says, oh, I came, and so they stop. Don't stop. Because even if she had an orgasm, then she can have another and possibly another, right? So, and they'll build and they'll get bigger and they'll get better and more expansive, and she'll feel more satisfied. And then, she will really let you know when she's like, okay, like I'm satisfied, I'm satiated, and I want to feel you in a different way.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, obviously if there's a safe word there or she's telling you to stop, you might want to stop. Also, sometimes women are very, very sensitive after they've had a clitoral orgasm, and they'll kind of pull away. I mean, some women are like that. I guess some women aren't. Again, everybody's unique. And
I think that also depends on how the clitoris was stimulated. So if the clitoris was stimulated in a very slow, sensual way, and then she was able to build up to an orgasm, she's going to be more likely to want you to continue even if she's had an orgasm.
I've encountered a bunch of different responses to different kinds of sex acts in my life. It just seems to me that it's paramount to learn your way around your partner's body, which, is a big reason why I've never been a fan of one-night stands. It seems to me if I'm going to test drive this, I want to kind of park it in the driveway for a while. You got to learn.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, and if you're actually learning your partner's body, then the sex is going to just keep getting better over and over. If you're not, then the sex is just it will plateau. After about that 4-month period, the sex isn't going to get any better. You're going to get away with a lot during the first 4 months because of all the hormones that are happening, and women will often just continue having sex with you during that period of time. But then if it hasn't gotten better and if she isn't sexually satisfied, then she's going to stop wanting to have sex. And this is why so many men come to me. They're like, the sex was great at the beginning. I don't understand what happened. Well, because you didn't take the time to really get to know her body. You didn't figure out how to give her these orgasms, how to bring her such pleasure that she craves you. When you do that, the sex doesn't get worse. It gets better over time.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're not giving her the kind of sexual experience that she's going to stick around for, you're not going to have much of an opportunity to learn your way around her body and practice over time. She's going to already be gone. So her name is Sarrah Rose. She is from Tantric Activation in New York City. And I want to send you to her website as we did before. And we do that by going to mountaintoppodcast.com/Sarrah. Now, it's very important to understand that Sarrah spells her name with 2 R's. So it's mountaintoppodcast.com, SARRAH. And once again, Sarah, you mentioned this last time you were on. What will guys find? What will they encounter when they go to your website?
So when they go to my website, they'll see my main coaching program is called Man on Fire. And that is a group coaching program that we have. It's a really incredible program. I have amazing men that work with me there. And we have a new website that is up now. It's called ceoonfire.com. And feel free to check that out as well.
Okay. And that's linked to from your main site as well?
It's not linked there, no.
Okay, so what I'm going to do for these guys is put a link to that in the show notes.
Perfect.
Perfect. Indeed, as was this conversation. A lot of fun. Man, time flew. Sarrah Rose, thank you for returning, and we hope to have you back on again soon to talk about another juicy, salient topic.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And guys, if you haven't been to mountaintoppodcast.com lately, please go there and sign up to talk to me for 25 minutes about where you are right now and how to get the right woman into your life. A lot of you guys haven't done that yet. I want to let you know I'm easygoing. I'm exactly the kind of guy you expect I'm going to be when we get on the phone. If it takes a little bit longer than 25 minutes to figure out what's going on and to give you something actionable that you can take with you, well, so be it. And if there's a plan of action that we can put into place to get you the kind of results you've always wanted but haven't yet achieved, we will do that also. You can sign up to talk to me by going to mountaintoppodcast.com and clicking on the red button at the upper right-hand corner of the site. And if you're on a mobile, it's front and center right at the top. While you're there, visit our sponsors, Origin in Maine. Jocko Willink's company has the best protein powder you can imagine. They're coming out with new and interesting lines all the time. If you're a hunter, man, you need to go to mountaintoppodcast.com/origin and see what they got cooking. It's amazing stuff. You're going to want all of it. If you haven't visited my good friends over at Keyport just yet, well, what you're missing out on there is having the best everyday carry device you could imagine. You can customize it. You can build it yourself. They'll send it to you and it'll match your personality. Like I always say, this isn't your grandfather's Swiss Army knife. Every man should have one and you're next. Last but not least, Hero Soap Company has the very best body wash. This is not Axe. This is not what your teenage kid's using. This smells great. Matter of fact, you can choose what it smells like. There are different varieties. And if you have not yet taken a shower with a female human being using this slickery stuff, man, you need to do that as soon as you possibly get the opportunity. And hopefully my good friend Sarrah Rose has given you more probability of having that opportunity take place very soon, having listened to this podcast. And that wonderful shower with a female human being will be, of course, courtesy of Hero Soap. Regardless of which of the fine sponsors you choose to do business with, or all of them, you can use the code MOUNTAIN10 to get an additional 10% off your order. And until I talk to you again real soon, this is Scott McKay from X&Y Communications in San Antonio, Texas. Be good out there.
The Mountaintop Podcast is produced by X&Y Communications. All rights reserved worldwide. Be sure to visit www.mountaintoppodcast.com for show notes. And while you're there, sign up for the free X&Y Communications newsletter for men. This is Ed Roy Odom speaking for the Mountaintop Podcast.